Hello everyone, very good afternoon. Here we are again with our usual afternoon reading comprehension class. Today we will again solve reading comprehension, which is an actual CAT question. We will also discuss some techniques and tricks. Now, what happens is that in questions, in passages which have a lot of technical information, they have and the reading comprehension is inclined towards the technicality or the specific language or the specific terms used in a particular branch of knowledge. For example, if you're talking about say astrology, so we discuss so many terms which are related to that particular branch of knowledge. So for example, if you're talking about marine biology, so reading comprehension can have so many technical terms which only people who have studied marine biology can know. But the reading comprehension's questions are set in such a way that even if you don't understand the terms used in the reading comprehension, still by understanding whatever is happening, whatever is written in the passage, and understanding the overall idea, the overall gist, the central idea, and the primary purpose, one can answer the questions. One moment, let me just see if I'm all right. Comprehension still by then basically so as people know that we are doing this series for a very long time now. It's the 5th week, and we would expect you people to sort of tell us how we're doing. Please give us feedback on our comment section, or like, share, or give us feedback as to what do you think about us. And yeah, of course your CAT depends a lot on your reading comprehension, because 24 questions out of 34 are asked, which are reading comprehension questions. And sorry, and out of 100 questions, 24 questions are reading comprehension questions basically. So it is very important that you solve reading comprehension from variety of areas and branches of knowledge and genres. Solve so many questions, keep a track of your mistakes. At the same time, keep doing your exercises, your test series very often. So what you have to do is that you have to subscribe to Unacademy, and you have to solve test series very often. So we'll start the discussion. My name is Anupam, and to stay in touch, download and install Unacademy app. Go to Plus, CAT, and subscribe. We have got 5 options, but anything more than 12 months or 12 months makes sense. The pricing is 15,750 and 18,900 for 12 months and 24 months respectively, after you use the code Saxena10. Also, you have got EMI options for 6, 12, and 24 months. There are a lot of free offerings also on the Unacademy website. For example, there's special classes, live classes, and they have a recorded special classes. and quizzes also if the live classes are happening, special classes are happening, which are free of cost for you. And you can utilize them. At the same time, you can utilize the YouTube content or whatever is in front of you. But subscribing to these plans will give you an edge over others, because you can directly interact with educators. You will have access to, like I said, test series and sectional test and topic wise test and mock test and doubt solving sessions. So there will be no doubts left in your mind, and it'll be great investment from a skill development standpoint to improve your confidence and to help you get a seat in one of those IIMs. Yeah, so reading comprehension, understanding the main ideas. So like I said, that if a particular, like in this reading comprehension which we'll solve just now, this reading comprehension is based on the field of genetics, also a very specific talking about a very specific development which is happening in the field of genetics. Now, a lot of people, I mean, I can say that 98% people at least who are writing CAT might not have studied genetics as a subject. There will be very few people who, because people are engineers, people are people in BCom, BBA, BSc, a lot of sciences, and then there are people from all kinds of hotel management, all branches of knowledge apply into MBA courses. But what happens is that very few people will know about genetics or a specific editorial or a specific research which is happening in the field of genetics. Even the people who have studied genetics, they will not be able to talk about the very specific details of any research which has been mentioned. So this is the reason they pick up such difficult, such typically written editorials and articles and utilize them to make questions, so that it is difficult for everybody, basically. So yeah, so the idea is to understand the main idea and ignoring these technical details, these jargons, and to understanding the broad summary of the passage, making central idea and primary purpose in every paragraph, and then answering the questions. At the same time, when it's to go to specific lines or line for the database questions. So in case if there's a very specific line or lines, one should go to the database questions. Let's start solving this particular passage. When researchers at Emory University in Atlanta trained mice to fear the smell of almonds by pairing it with electric shocks, they found to their consternation means amazement, surprise, that both the children and the grandchildren of these mice were spontaneously afraid of the same smell. That is not supposed to happen. So something happened while they were training mice to smell almonds, and when they smell almonds, they were being given shocks. They were giving electric shocks were given to these mice. But what they're saying is that if one generation of mice is afraid of something which they're made to learn, it cannot be passed on to the next generation. That is not supposed to happen. Generation of school children have been taught that the inheritance of acquired characteristics is not possible. A mouse should not be born with something its parents have learned during their lifetime, any more than a mouse that loses its tail in an accident in an accident should give birth to tailless mice. So they're saying that acquired characteristics, transmitting them or passing them on to the next generation is not possible. It is technically, from scientific standpoint, it was considered impossible. So it was saying that passing acquired characteristics or traits the future generation is not possible. But the recent results show otherwise. Okay. Next comes modern evolutionary biology. Dates back to a synthesis that emerged around 1940s and 60s, which married Charles Darwin's mechanism of natural selection with Gregor Mendel's discoveries of how genes are inherited. So somewhere Charles Darwin's natural selection and Gregor Mendel's discoveries of how genes are inherited, somewhere this sort of they got intermarried somewhere. And the traditional and still dominant view is that adaptations from the human brains to the peacock's tail are fully and satisfactorily explained by natural selection and subsequent inheritance. Yet, new evidence from genomics, epigenetics, and developmental biology indicates that evolution is more complex than once we assumed. So it says that a traditional view that came up in 1940s to 1960s was based on natural selection. However, new research suggests otherwise. So whatever was traditional, like now traditional view, and then must have been normal. Whatever happened in 1940s and 60s, basically they thought that the Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection and basically in natural selection, what happens that certain species will survive. And so certain species will die. Certain that of one kind of a plant, certain children or certain species of the certain descendants of the plant will survive and some will sort of die away. That was the entire agenda behind Charles Darwin's mechanism of natural selection. And also there was this Mendel's theory that that certain genes will be certain characteristics will show up in fewer number of the children or the grandchildren. So this was the basically idea, and this is how they thought that they can explain everything else, but the new theory is saying something else. New research which is happening in genomics and epigenetics and developmental biology is saying something else. Oh, he's sorry. In his book on human nature, the evolutionary biologist Edward O. Wilson claimed that human culture is held on a genetic leash. The metaphor needs revision. Imagine a dog walker. The genes struggling to retain the control of a brawny mastiff, the human culture. So imagine that. So there's this very respectable evolutionary biologist, Edward O. Wilson, who said that the human culture is held on a genetic leash. It says that imagine a dog walker, the genes, struggling to retain control of a brawny mastiff. There's this dog walker, imagine it to be a genes, and that particular dog walker, that is the genes, they're holding a control of a human culture. The genes is controlling the human culture. The pace, trajectory, the path of evolution reflects the outcome of struggle. Now imagine the same dog walker struggling with multiple dogs on a leash of various lengths, each dog tugging in different direction. All these tugs represent influences of developmental factor, epigenetics, antibodies, hormones passed on by parents, as well as ecological legacies, and culture they bequeath. Bequeath means when something is received as an inheritance from the previous generation. That is known as bequeath. So basically, it is saying that human culture is controlled by many factors. And these factors are epigenetics, antibodies, hormones passed on by parents, and developmental factors, ecological legacies, and culture and culture they bequeath. So these so many things are impacting the human evolution. So many things are impacting it. So it's not only simply natural selection and the Charles Mendel's theory, the Charles Darwin's theories and Gregor Mendel's Mendel's theorem will be able to answer all these complex details. It's saying that the received wisdom is the wisdom which people had received from the earlier scientists or the researchers was that parental experiences cannot affect the characters of their offsprings, except they do. So received wisdom was wrong. The way that genes are expressed to produce an organism's phenotype. Phenotype is the are the physical characteristics like appearance, development, and behavior. The actual characteristics it ends up with is affected by chemicals that attach to them. So basically it's saying that genes are expressed to produce an organism's phenotype. The actual characteristics it ends up with is affected by the chemicals. So there are certain chemicals which are attached to them. Everything from diet to air pollution to parental behavior can influence the addition or removal of these chemicals, which switches genes on and off. So these so diet, air pollution, so things like diet and air pollution can also impact these chemical marks. Usually these epigenetic attachments are removed during the production of sperm and eggs, but it turns out that some escape the resetting process and are passed on to the next generation along with the genes. This is known as the epigenetic inheritance. So they're saying that these chemicals which provide certain special traits to the human race or to a person, they can be they are wiped off. They become ineffective at the time when the sperms and eggs are produced. This is known as epigenetic inheritance, and more studies are confirming that it really happens. But it says that somehow that resetting, that removal of these chemicals is not happening, basically. Now it says that let us turn to the almond-bearing mice. The inheritance of an epigenetic mark transmitted in the sperm is what led mice's offspring to acquire. So this acquired behavior, what is epigenetic? Epigenetic are the external genetic features. For example, somewhere in the structure of the genes, but it doesn't alter the code of it. The genes remain the same, but some minute changes happen. Basically what they're saying that in this entire paragraph is that some minute changes, some finer changes, which people thought that they are not transferred, they're actually transmitted. Okay. And they say that these can be affected due to diet and air pollution, to parental behavior. These sort of they can happen. But what happens that they are usually removed in the time of birth, but it appears that some of them don't get removed. Epigenetics is only part of, and they're saying that this epigenetics is only part of the story. Through culture and society, humans and other animals inherit knowledge, skills acquired by the parents. All this. So they're saying that forget the genes part, that something in the genes or some feature in the genes doesn't get removed at the time the sperms or the eggs are formed, and it sort of passes on to the next generation. Forget about these. Through culture and society also, through knowledge and skills also, these things are through the skills and knowledge of parents, it is given to the kids. All this complexity points out to an evolutionary process in which genomes over thousands of generations, epigenetic modifications over hundreds of generations, and parental effects over a single generation time spans collectively inform how organisms adapt. So they're saying that that all these that apart from culture also, in genetics also there are so many factors: parental effects, then epigenetic modification, then genome based changes, or the passing on of the genome based traits. They collectively form how organism adapt. So if you look at the beginning of the passage, they were talking about that only the theory of natural selection can explain what characteristics or traits are passed on to the next generation, and acquired traits cannot be passed forward. But here they are saying that because of epigenetics, because of genomes, slowly, because they say no, most of these chemical marks they're removed. So slowly, through genomes, through epigenetic features, through culture, through society, through parental upbringing, these changes happen in an individual, in a particular generation. These changes can happen. These extra genetic kinds of inheritance give organism the flexibility to make rapid adjustment to environmental changes, dragging genetic change in their wake, much like a rowdy pack of dogs. So they're saying that so many factors, they provide the flexibility to make rapid adjustment to environmental changes, and they also bring in the genetic change along with them. So it says that epigenetics, genomes, cultural factors, parental behavior, why is this epigenetics read here? Epigenetics. Epigenetic effects, due to genomes, cultural factors, and parental effects. Impact a generation. So let's solve the questions now. Or just read all the summaries at least very quickly. Passing acquired characteristics or traits to future generation is not possible, but the recent results show otherwise. Traditional view that came up in 1940s and 60s was based on natural selection. However, new research suggests otherwise. Human culture is affected by many factors, or I can say human evolution. Epigenetic effects due to genomes, cultural factors, parental effects impact a generation. Now comes the question parts. a study highlighting the criticality of, let's see the question first. Which of the following, if found to be true, would negate the main idea of the passage? What is a negation? Negation would be to refute, to disprove, okay, to prove to be wrong or false. So which of the following options would prove that whatever was said in the passage is false? What was said in the passage? In the passage they said that that the human evolution is especially with respect to certain acquired characteristics which are learned by a particular generation, they can be transmitted to the future generation due to a lot of other factors apart from the natural selection. And this was so basically, if anything which says that that proves that okay, natural selection satisfies all these queries, then it is also good for this answer. Otherwise, what can refute, what can prove this entire message to be correct? That all these changes, whatever they have happened, they have not happened because of the epigenetic and genome based or the cultural based or the parental effects. There are some other reasons for it. But let's read options and we find which of the answers are closest to it. A study highlighting the criticality of epigenetic inheritance to evolution. We are talking about something which proves that epigenetic inheritance is not responsible, right? We have to find something which negates it, proves it to be wrong. So see, these things are important, okay? A question can ask something which you might find to be very easy, but if you read properly, there is something, there is a no, there's a does not, there's a negate somewhere, asking you to look for something else. Here we have to look for an idea which proves that whatever has been written here is incorrect. A study affirming the influence of socio-cultural markers on evolutionary processes. A study affirming the influence of socio-cultural markers on evolutionary processes. Again, socio-cultural markers were supporting this entire idea here, right? The socio-cultural markers, the epigenetics, from genome standpoint, if we prove all this, this theory is being supported. This theory is being supported here. We have to prove this to be wrong, to be false, to be inaccurate. Okay, read 3. So basically this is what these 3 are. Supporting the claims in the passage. All right. Whereas what we have to do, we have to find something which disapproves it, which proves it to be incorrect. Let's read 3. A study affirming the role of influences of natural selection and inheritance on evolution. Yes, it affirming the sole influence of natural selection and inheritance on evolution. Yeah, this is the correct answer, because it says that there is a sole influence of natural selection and inheritance on evolution. 4th says a study so we were saying now that if we can somehow prove that all these observations, all these traits which the species are getting after thousands of years of evolution, they are because of again can be explained through natural selection. Then all these factors, all this discussion is not required. It's worthless. This theory can be completely debunked. Fourth, a story indicating the primacy of ecological impact on adaptation. Again, even if you come here somewhere, we said no multiple factors. We said here multiple factors. Multiple factors may, if you remember, if you read the last line here, as well as the ecological legacies and culture they bequeath. So even if we can somehow say that the ecology of an individual, of a particular species has made an impact on the future generations, traits which they have acquired. This is again bolstering or trying to make this entire theory, whatever is been given here, stronger. But we have to look for something which is against it, and we've already found it in 3, so we need not worry. So this is again what? This again supports the claim, right? And hence it is incorrect also. It's not taking the color. Basically, this is incorrect. Or now the question comes, which of the following options best describes author's argument? Which of the following best describes the author's argument? Okay. The Mendel's theory of inheritance is unfairly underestimated. Now, this is actually opposite. This option says that Mendel's theory is unfairly underestimated. That means Mendel's theory is very much complete, very much capable of explaining all the unexplained traits which a person receives from his or her forebearers, which is not the case, because Mendel's theory is not able to prove it. And author's main argument is that there are some other factors responsible for the transmitting of the acquired characteristics and traits in the future generations. There is something else which is happening here. Mendel's theory of inheritance and Charles Darwin's natural theory of natural selection is not competent enough to answer all the questions. So this is again incorrect. Okay, it's actually also it's opposite to the contrary. Or opposite. Wilson's theory of evolution is scientifically superior to either Darwin's or Mendel's. This was nowhere said that the theory of Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson is who? Mr. Wilson is here who said that Mr. Edward Wilson said that the human culture is on a genetic leash. Remember that the example of this, there was this dog, here multiple dogs are pulling us a dog walker in a direction. That is your this is the person we were talking about. Same thing, that there are multiple factors impacting. But nowhere it was said that Mr. Wilson's theory, Mr. Wilson is actually still alive. He's actually a best-selling author. So he's very aged now, 91 or something, and he's a Harvard retired professor, still active as a professor of eminence, like they give a honorary position. So nowhere it has been said that Professor Wilson's theory of evolution is scientifically superior to either Darwin's or this is irrelevant. I can say it's actually extraneous. It is extra to the information given. Cannot be true based on the passage. Basically, Darwin's theory of natural selection cannot fully explain evolution. Yeah, this was he was saying. See, that's what he was saying, that Darwin's theory cannot prove. If you go here, epigenetic effects due to genomes, cultural factors, parental effects impact a generation. Human evolution is affected by many factors. Traditional view that came in 1940s to 60s was based on natural selection. However, new research suggests otherwise. Passing acquired characteristics, traits to future generations is not possible, but recent results show otherwise. So this is the thing, that theory of natural selection of Darwin cannot explain the evolution. Here, yet from genomics, epigenetics, and developmental biology indicates that evolution is more complex than we once assumed. 4 says Darwin's and Mendel's theories together best explain evolution. This is against, again, what? Incorrect and contrary and opposite to the ideas mentioned in the passage. Then comes here question number 3. The Emory University experiment with mice points to the inheritance of. So the Emory University experiment with mice points to the inheritance of. What all things it points out to? Inheritance of, we have discussed it n number of times, acquired characteristics. Remember, we go here. Passing acquired characteristics. The generations of school children have been taught that the inheritance of acquired characteristics is impossible. Right? It was there in the first paragraph also. So, Emory University experiment with mice points. So it was in the first paragraph, and we read from the first paragraph just now that it was pertaining to acquired characteristics. Sorry, I am sorry. This is a database question. The passage uses the metaphor of a dog walker to argue that evolutionary adaptation is most comprehensively understood as being determined by. So it says that the metaphor of a dog walker can be used to argue that adaptation is most comprehensively understood to be determined by. So for this as a database question, you will have to go back wherever the example was coming. Here the example was coming of the, now imagine the same dog walker with multiple dogs on the leashes of varied length, with each dog tugging in different direction. All these represent developmental factors, epigenetics, antibodies, hormones, ecological legacies, culture they bequeath. Also, it was also mentioned here that genomics, epigenetics, and developmental biology are saying that that evolution is far more complex. Here also they have given similar things, that we make a note of it here, that epigenetic effects affect due to genomes, cultural factors, parental effects impact a generation. All these will be mentioned here somewhere. Some option will be correct here. Extra genetic, epigenetic, genomic legacies. Okay, ecological, hormones, and extra genetic and genetic legacies. Sociocultural, genetic, epigenetic, genomic legacies. Socioculture was nowhere mentioned. Genetic and epigenetic, developmental factors, and ecological legacies. Yeah, this is the answer. Extra genetic is something which was nowhere mentioned. Also, I think yeah, so I'm sorry, my bad. For this particular question, we have to just refer to the lines here, basically, right? Genetic leash. Genetic leash is there. Apart from that, there is epigenetics, antibodies, hormones passed on by parents, as well as ecological and culture they bequeath. Now this is what they're saying: genetic, epigenetic, developmental factors, and ecological legacies. So I was considering all the things which were mentioned in the entire paragraph, in the entire passage, but this question which I'm actually referring to only one of the only one correct, only the place where this question was asked, the dog metaphor, where whatever factors were mentioned there, they were only asking for it. That is the reason I said that you should go to the exact paragraph where this particular question was asked. Genetic, epigenetic, developmental factors, and ecological legacies. This is a question which was dead giveaway. Just find the place, come to the option and mark it, right? So yeah, basically this is how it is. And so same thing comes up, that you don't get bothered by the technical language used in a passage. Just understand the main idea, make summary, and the core message. And for the database lines, like I said, go to the specific lines and answer them. So I hope these lessons are useful. These practical hands-on methods are useful for you. Then comes live classes. So in Unacademy subscription, you get live classes. You get to interact with the educator. You get live polls and leaderboard. You get test series and analysis. You also get live doubt clearing sessions. there are a lot of free aspects which are present in the Unacademy app, which are live classes, special classes, and quizzes. So please utilize them apart from the YouTube. Like I said, that Unacademy subscription will be a great investment into your career. So use my code Saxena10 to get 10% discount. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow 9 a.m. and at 2 p.m. tomorrow again 9 a.m. we'll be solving para summary